Hey, I'm Damianos. This is Left the Abyss. Some of us work harder than others, but in America, and in many places really, that doesn't always mean you earn more. In fact, your earnings are likely being sapped by somebody who contributes nothing to society. Let's talk about your landlord. Landlords. What are they good for? Heh. No idea. So hey, you may already be aware of this fact, but landlords are parasites. Is being a landlord a job? Well, there's some tax paperwork and you've got to hire some people to actually take care of the property and then own land. No, being a landlord is not a job. Well, more specifically, they provide nothing, they produce nothing, they contribute nothing, and they take the money you worked for by doing something productive. If not for society, for a company which profited from marginally compensating you for it. Either way, your labor and time, I assume, was spent producing. You may be a cog in some capitalist machine, but at least a cog serves a necessary function. The difference between your job and the occupation of the person you give your money to every month is that your earnings were given in compensation for your production, but a landlord is not required to produce in order to profit. They profit off of the ownership of your home. They steal the money you worked for through sanctioned blackmail. So, is there a purpose they serve to the livelihoods they rule over? Is there a reason they exist beyond extorted profit? Quick answer, no. A landlord reinvests small margins of their profit to hire usually a handful of people who actually manage and take care of the property on behalf of the landlord. The landlord may be entirely separate from the actual maintenance of the property, aside from paying people to do it for them with a margin of their profits. So what's the alternative? Without a landlord, there's no one to pay the wages of management and maintenance, yes? No? Let me let you in on a radical, crazy hypothetical in which a landlord is not required to exist for the property to function. A democratic, socialized, community-owned land where the people who live on the property collectively own the property and pay towards its upkeep, with agreements as to how the property is upkept, and the community hires those who do the work and manage the property, being their employers. The workers and whatever management all get paid as part of rent, and more than they would be by someone whose interest is to withhold compensation. This amount is agreed upon, and the price of rent drops significantly down to the actual price it costs to manage the property, without giving a profit margin to somebody separate from the property. Everyone owns the property. Nobody gets to exploit people for a living. I promise you, what you are paying for rent is not what it actually costs to upkeep the property you live on. It's what it costs to ensure your landlord makes a profit. And then there's the fact that many landlords are actually landlording companies, which just add a whole other degree of parasitic capitalism to the whole system. But they can be talked about with landlords interchangeably. The point is, there is a rapacious middleman between you and the upkeep of your community or household who takes your money for no benefit to you. The very position of a landlord is fundamentally parasitic. Now sometimes, rarely, there are landlords who really do all the upkeep and maintenance. Maybe you feel like that's you. You may feel like it's a lot of work, therefore it's a job. But I'm sorry to tell you that the reality in your situation is that you are simply salvaging a bad investment, and you are actually just a maintenance person who happens to also own the land. How much you work is irrelevant to the question of whether it's a job, and most landlords do not work much beyond deciding how to spend their money in a way that makes them the most money. The question of whether it is a job is dependent upon whether it serves any essential function beyond the collection of excess revenue. The answer is no, it doesn't. No, it is not a job. Shelter should be a human right. There is enough of it. American shelters can be improved, in fact, rather than stagnate at a level of upkeep that suits the minimum requirement to keep tenants living there. Communities can decide to collectively invest in renovation to their homes, and it would still likely cost far less than if they gave that money to somebody who has no intention of materially benefiting you. Abolish landlords, abolish rent. Housing is a right. This has been Lift the Abyss. Please help us grow by liking, commenting, and sharing. Most of all, thank you for watching Lift the Abyss, mortals. Subscribe. Now, take all my money.